Welcome to the Cool Health Podcast, where we discover health and wellness by bringing you the latest in health news and in-depth interviews with experts in their fields. We're here to make health cool again. Okay, before we start, one sponsor today.
Yeah.
Hostage Tape. 10% off the ultimate sleep mouth tape. Use it if you're a mouth breather, if you got some problems waking up at night, sleep apnea, snoring, all that. So, John 67447, Super Fringe. I hope you don't forget it. All caps. That is a discount code. I'll give you 10% off. And yeah, okay. Allison
Wojtovecz. Close.
welcome, Allison Wojtovecz. You have a pretty solid resume. Bachelors in Science in Kinesiology. You are a certified PN2 nutrition coach. You have an awesome online coaching platform. And this is how we met. You were in the sauna. You're a pretty cool comedian. I saw your Instagrams. You were blowing up in India. You play in Austin a lot with the coolest venues. So thank you for talking.
Yeah, it was like such a random chance meeting in the sauna. I felt so bad too because, I didn't feel bad, but it was just funny because like when I'm in the sauna by myself, I have to just try to meditate. Otherwise, I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And I have never had such a good sauna meditation as I did last night. And you like walked in the middle and I felt bad because I was like being quiet, but you just came right in and meditated with me and it was amazing.
Yeah. It's like spiritual planes just bonding, I saw you got the head wrapped, so
yeah, it helps you stay in longer.
That's some advanced stuff.
Yeah.
And they have those what are those called, like the Russian caps?
Yeah,
have
the weird no, they gross me out because
Yeah.
everyone uses them, so I'm like, I'll just use a towel.
So Squatch, we're at this gym,
Squatch,
the lovely, amazing studio. We're in Austin. They have a cold plunge. They got all these modalities. Let's start with your background in health and fitness. How'd you get onto this? What made you trick? What's going on?
Well, you mentioned my degree in kinesiology.
Yes.
I also have an acting degree. So I went to UT for both.
Okay.
I would say like the health and fitness stuff has kind of always been in my life. My family's pretty athletic. Like parents always worked out. I had good, examples growing up, and I played volleyball, gymnastics, like things like that. By the time I got into high school, I was mostly focused on theater. So I quit all the sports, and my dad basically was like, if you're going to quit sports, you need to keep working out with me. Kept working out with dad. And that's how I got, just like my own routine of weightlifting and running and things like that. And then when I got to college, I had some eating disorder issues. And it was weird because it was like I was already starting to kind of dabble in, health beyond just working out. Because with my parents, it was mostly like work out and you can eat whatever you want, which for them works, right? Like, they're in pretty good shape. Like, they're happy, like, whatever. But I got really picky. Like, I wanted to learn how to better manipulate the body. And as a young female whose frontal lobe isn't fully formed, very easy to turn that into an eating disorder. And so throughout college, I battled, kind of started as like what they would call orthorexia today. Very restrictive eating, very specific, only letting myself eat a couple things, working out a ton, lost a bunch of weight, didn't look good. And then when you start eating after that, it's very easy to fall into binging because you've been starving for so long. We can go into hormones and emotions that play into it and all of the different neurotransmitters that are affecting that. But it's basically a survival instinct to bounce back and try and eat as much as possible. So turned into a lovely little binging issue later in college. And it was just very weird because I was like dealing with all of those things. And at the same time, I'm trying to figure out how to genuinely be healthy. I went into college with an acting major, added kinesiology. And yeah, I mean, I was always around it, and I dealt with those issues in college. And then by the time I got out of it, I was like, whoa, what the hell did I just deal with? You know? And so I had this degree. I made sure to get my personal training and my nutrition certs before I even got out of college. So like I had all the paperwork ready. And by the time I was out of school, I at least had like a better understanding of what was going on, you know? Okay. And yeah, ever since then, it's just been like, how do I optimize this, and how do I figure out how to help others do that? And I'll be honest, like by no means am I a full-time coach. I kind of dabble in a lot of different things, but yeah, that's kind of how the fitness journey started. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Okay. And we're definitely going to get into all this dabbling. But when you were in college, was there a specific health trend that was going on? It was the clean eating trend. Clean eating.
It was the very vague clean eating trend, which was dangerous because I would say like, I feel like when I was so I graduated college in 2017. So I feel like when I was a student in high school, it was kind of the end of women who were really affected by like, you need to be skinny, like eating disorder culture. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of affected it. And
peers, were they pressuring you?
No, I'm just really hard on myself. I'm one of those people who's really hard on themselves. I'm a perfectionist at everything. And so it's like, you know, I know the story I had in my head for a little bit was like, I'm going into college. I want people to have a different opinion of me than what I think they do now. You know, I can reinvent myself basically when I go to college. And I was going into acting school, and no one had ever said this to me, and it's definitely not true in theater, but I had in my head that if I wanted to get lead roles, I needed to be a certain size. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, it was very interesting, like seeing the idea of clean eating hit around like 2013, because there was no guidelines. It was just clean eating, which very easily led into like orthorexic thoughts, right? Because I was like, oh, I'm being healthy because I'm eating clean.
So what is clean eating? What were they telling you?
There wasn't a definition. It's whatever you want to make it. So like I was basically seeing like, at the time it felt like there were two camps. There was like the people who were like all organic, whatever. And then there were the people that were like low fat, more traditional bodybuilding, almost clean eating. And so I kind of fell more towards that one at first. I was like, I don't care what I'm eating as long as it fits my macros. And I was giving myself like, but it wasn't like I was one of those people eating Pop-Tarts and being, well, it fits my macros. It was like, how little calories can I consume to still hit this macro breakdown that I'm trying to? It was a weird, messed up version of it, you know? So I was eating a lot of just like chicken breast. I literally remember eating grapes and spinach as a snack and being like, this is healthy. Like, you know, so it's just a really warped way of like explaining health to people, because it was still very focused on the numbers related to calories and macronutrients. Right. And you thought you were being advanced because you're counting macros. You're not counting calories.
Macros, bro.
Right? Yeah. So that was kind of that.
Okay. So we're in college. We're studying kinesiology. This is the undergrad?
Yeah.
Okay. And we have this acting degree as well. How was you're in the health school and you're in the acting school? What's up at art school? How'd you get into that?
Well, my theater advisor thought I was insane because I started as an acting student. I added the kinesiology one later. Right. So, when I came to him and was like, hey, like I've figured out the degree plans, like here's how I'm going to be able to do it. I mean, I was taking minimum 18 hours a semester. So like,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
College.
12 hours counts as full time. That's 2 extra classes minimum per semester. And so, yeah, like I just remember presenting the advisor being like, here's the kinesiology degree plan. Here's the theater degree plan. Here's how they meet. You know, the electives for this one cover the cores for this one and vice versa and whatever. And he just was like, you're insane for taking this much science, but whatever, you do you. And I basically just like designed my own degree. I was the only person doing that. Like, and this was at UT as well. I think there were a couple dance majors that were also taking kinesiology, which made more sense to them. But like, yeah, so it was just very interesting. I never felt like I was fully in one or the other. Like I would come to theater class carrying my gym bag and everyone would be like, why do you have that? you know, and then I'd go to kinesiology and be tired, and they'd be like, why are you tired? I'm like, I was at rehearsal till 10, you know, like whatever. But
And then your spinach and grapes.
yeah, eating my
maybe.
spinach and grapes, you know. Yeah. But it was a good experience overall. I just felt like I had to really take ownership of what I was doing because no one else really understood why I was doing both. But, you know, responsibility is nice.
Yeah. So we're here now. What's a day in life looking for you now? Now you got all this stuff going on.
Oh my gosh. So
Let's go top to bottom, and we're gonna go into detail about a couple little things.
Okay.
But overall, what's the flow? Do you have a breakdown?
Well, let's
scheduling?
let's talk about modern day first. I do stand-up comedy now, which
Right.
is what we talked about. I still have day job stuff. Basically after college, I did start coaching people. It turned into doing more of like marketing for health companies. So I've really spent since college learning marketing stuff. So day to day now is like, I try not to wake up with an alarm, but you know, sometimes you have to. I try not to wake up with an alarm though, because I'm up so late that it's like, if I'm setting the goal of waking up early, like most of these fitness people out here, I would literally be getting 4 hours of sleep a night most nights. So it's like, I almost got into an argument with someone about this the other day because they were like, it's so much better for you to wake up before 8. And I was like, yeah, but it's also even better for me to actually get enough sleep. Like,
So you would say you're working late.
yeah.
You think you fit your chronotype of more of that night owl? Back in ancestral times, you would be almost like the guardian at
Maybe
night.
I feel better doing that.
Yeah.
Like I've tried all of them. Like after school, I was working at a gym and like I had to wake up at 4 or 5 every morning, and I could do it and
Yeah.
I could crush it. But you know, you're exhausted by 5 p.m. At least I was. I was
Yeah.
completely drained. I didn't want to do anything by 5 p.m. every day. And now with comedy, I still get exhausted,
Yeah.
but it's like flipped. Like I'll, you know, what happened last night? I went to bed at like 2, woke up at 10,
Okay.
you know? So it's like, it sounds silly, but that happens half the time during the work week anyway for me now. So
Yeah.
you just kind of have to adjust to that. So regardless of when I wake up, I keep my phone off until my morning routine is done. Like I keep it on airplane mode, sleep with it on airplane mode as well. It sounds silly, but I feel like I can tell when it's not on airplane mode when I'm trying to sleep. So yeah, I'll keep it on airplane mode. Morning routine is usually like go downstairs, make my coffee, come back up, and I have my whole little like setup just in my bed of like my little like Bible devotional, my journal, my Wim Hof timer, and like, you know, I kind of combine all these different things, and I'll just do my little morning flow, which is usually like writing some affirmations, saying a prayer, setting whatever the intention, figuring out the vibe I want from my music to Wim Hof, do 2-3 rounds of that. And then I start my day and I'll turn my phone on. I'll see what the chaos is. Cause you know, if I'm waking up at 10, I'm probably turning my phone on at 11 or 12. So it's like, I missed all of the morning texts and people just know that if they're contacting me. And then, yeah, once I kind of deal with all that, like a lot of my work revolves around people talking to me, you know, marketing needs, clients, whatever it is. So deal with that, probably post some stuff on social media for my own promotion. And then I'll get into work for clients. So I like to walk on my treadmill desk
I saw that on your Instagram.
while I do my work on the computer as long
Yeah.
as I can. It usually ends up being like an hour or two, which easily hits your 10,000 steps for the day.
Definitely.
Even if you're going slow. And yeah, so I'll do a lot of computer work on there. More creative heads down work, you know, I have my desk, whatever. If it's designing something like designing graphics or writing jokes, I don't write while I walk, you know, I'll sit down and write jokes. Oh, that's the other thing is I'm most creative for joke writing in the morning. So like
In the
after my
mornings. Interesting.
morning, which is noon. But yeah, so I'll do
brunch.
the morning routine, and usually before I turn the phone on, I have all these ideas, and that's why I have the journal right there too. To like, I have a joke idea come in, like I brought the journal with me too. But yeah, usually in the morning when you're clear after like the breath work and stuff, it's like, oh, I have all of these ideas coming in, and sometimes I'll just write a full bit that's like done, and I'm like, great, this is awesome. So yeah, anyway, after marketing work in the afternoon, if I have a show that night, you know, I'll work until 5, 6, whatever, whenever the show is. Like I give myself about an hour to to get ready for the show, and then I'll go out and perform. Like when you met me yesterday, I was ending 5 days of 7 shows. So
Wow.
Tuesday through Saturday, I had 7 shows. Should have been 8. I think I missed one. But yeah, it gets so stacked up like during the week. There's so much comedy here. So I have shows a lot of nights of the week. And if I don't have a show, I'll either go to a mic or I'll drive Lyft for extra money. So yeah, it's kind of just working all day once I'm done in the morning. So I really have to like prioritize that morning time. And then when I get home at night, I try to, wind down a little bit, smoke some weed,
Right. I was going to say that the relaxing protocol after you come off bright lights.
Yeah.
People are just, all the adrenaline going. Do
It's,
you have any other relaxation protocols?
well, last night, yesterday I kind of gave myself a me day. Like
Okay.
I went really hard this week. So like you caught me at the end of my me day where I came in, had like a nice workout and got to sit in the sauna and all that stuff. But honestly, when I went home, I mean, the show last night wasn't until 10, which I love comedy for too. Sometimes you're not booked until 10 or midnight, but I came home from the gym. I took an Epsom salt bath with essential oils, like get my head clear and, get ready from there. So I try to just like find those windows of relaxation in between stuff and like allow for like a little bit of transition period too. Cause like, I mean, shit, you're going from like morning meditation and journaling to marketing for other people to creating your own sketches to then having to go perform live in front of people and or drive random strangers around town all day. It's like, it's a lot of different things. And yeah, so I just try to give like little gaps in between those things too. Just for resetting, I guess. And then towards the end of the day, yeah, just always like before I go to bed, it's like phone off again, hang out. Usually I'm hanging out with my roommate. We're both pretty night owly. So yeah.
Those buffers are essential.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go in, you could do your morning thing. I feel like if I just walk into meeting with people and all those protocols, it just gets so hectic and
yeah.
David Goggins said this. He says, you do all this stuff, so you're getting ready to get punched in the face. You do your morning routine, you do your breath work before coffee, by the way. It's like crack.
Yeah.
Like I used to do coffee and then the breath work and it did not work as well.
Oh.
But Wim Hof goes, do the breath work before. Started doing that.
I know a lot of people who do that. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's just like...
It's too much.
Well, no, for me, like the details... When people get like so nitty gritty into details like that, I'm like, okay, what's the actual benefit here? Like, are you feeling a little bit higher from the breath work? Is it actually doing something biologically? Because for me, getting up and making my coffee, like I have my little Chemex and my pour over, and like I'm a coffee snob. That's full of coffee right now, and like for me, it's like I love just the routine and like the ritual of wake up, make your coffee, take that first sip. Just enjoy it, like warm up. I'm usually cold when I wake up, so for me, I'm like the joy that I feel of waking up and drinking coffee as my first thing. I don't really care if that's kind of shooting my Wim Hof in the foot a little bit.
So, okay, let's go into the coffee a bit. How long do you wait until you drink your first cup?
Well, today I didn't I didn't have any until after my Wim Hof today.
Okay.
Today I woke up and I had like a vitamin cocktail. Yeah. So I'll wake up and do that sometimes. Like as much coffee as I drink, and this is probably hubris, I really don't feel like I'm addicted because some days I just don't drink it and I'm fine. Yeah. But yeah, so I would say like on a normal day, if I'm going to drink coffee, it's almost right away. I'll drink water, but like, brush my teeth, drink water, make the coffee, go do the Wim Hof. But today I didn't feel like coffee, so I made a vitamin cocktail.
Interesting.
And I just did that. Like I had my water and my vitamin cocktail. It's called Boost. There's a bunch of people that drink it here. MSW
Sponsor
Nutrition.
us, please.
They might.
MSW, okay.
They're homies, yeah.
Isn't that's with Nurse
Doza.
Nurse Doza.
I ran their marketing for the last 6 years.
You told me about the Bliss stuff yesterday, right?
I didn't tell you about Bliss. No, someone else probably did.
Someone else was.
There's a bunch of fanboys of MSW here. But yeah, great company, great supplements. I still use them. They're amazing. So I love making like a Boost cocktail in the morning some days.
Good.
And like I feel that like especially after a long week or a long night, like I woke up this morning being like, oh my gosh, I just finished this huge adrenaline run. Like, I don't even want coffee right now. I just want some vitamins. So, yeah.
Funny note, I was at the Concourse Project yesterday.
Yeah. How was that concert?
So, insane lineup, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't think the people of Austin were ready for what was to come.
You felt like the audience wasn't responding like they should have been?
The audience was half filled. These guys flew all the way from Europe for the show, and I could tell they were like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
So they were playing like, this is in my opinion.
Right.
Some people probably had a great time.
Right.
But I was just there. I was like, dang, like these dudes play packed out, sold out shows, and they have to play this now. And you know, I was a little tired anyways. We were in the sauna for an hour, so I was like, oh, like what if I went to bed at 10?
Yeah.
Anyways, went to bed at 3:30ish. Woke up and I was like, ugh. So I drove down to Alive Plus Well out in Bee Cave.
Yep.
And I'm like, I go to the lady. I go, I didn't drink. I didn't party hard. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
What should I take? She's like, I got you. So they gave me a shot. It was B12, choline, inositol, and methionine.
Nice.
Now, I don't understand the methionine aspect.
Yeah.
But all the others just phenomenal for cognition, memory, overall good brain boosting stuff.
Yeah, methionine I'm less familiar with as well.
Methionine's the amino acid found in muscle meat. I don't understand.
They probably gave it to you for some sort of repair then.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good blend. Energizing blends like that, that's very similar to what MSW does too, because MSW has the supplements, but also a vitamin IV bar and shots and stuff like that. They're just not open on the weekends.
They're not open on the weekends.
No, I woke up today and I was like, dang, I want to go so bad. I was like, I guess I'm going to wait till tomorrow. But yeah, that's a really good blend. So the cocktail I drank this morning was Boost is like a multivitamin cocktail, but it's a ton of B12, a lot of just other, support vitamins, but I also will mix magnesium and glutamine into it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any specific type of magnesium? Or
it's the one that can cross the blood-brain barrier. I forgot which type it's called.
It was like glycinate, thorate.
I literally wrote an article on this. I'm going to look it up, but
guys, before we continue, we're going to tag everything, all of Allison's work, her blogs, and I am going to check with the audio guy to make sure it's all running good. So you have a blog as well.
Yeah, I have that's a whole other thing. Yeah, let me see. Magnesium L3 and 8.
L3 and 8.
Mm-hmm. I'm literally looking at the blog that I wrote. Yeah, magnesium L3 and 8. That's the only one proven to cross the blood-brain barrier. So it
interesting.
Really helps with cognitive function during the day and sleep at night. And then glutamine is a really interesting one that a lot of people know for muscle recovery, but it's also excellent for gut health. So that was actually the angle that they took that one at.
Okay, I like this. Throughout the day, do you have a certain, let's go into modalities. Let's go into some of these cognitive enhancers maybe that you do. We got the coffee. We have the magnesium, the B12. Are there any other non-negotiables that you possibly give to your clients or yourself every day?
Well, for no specific reason other than general health, vitamin D with K2, vitamin D3 with vitamin K2. They work together and activate each other.
Yeah, why is K2 important with D3?
So I believe vitamin K is responsible for the placement of calcium. So like vitamin D helps with synthesis of calcium as well, but K like directs where it's supposed to go. So basically like if you're taking calcium and vitamin D but no vitamin K, your body's just going to store it wherever, which can result in calcium deposits in places you don't want them. So if you take vitamin K, it helps balance that whole thing out and basically directs the calcium towards your bones and other places that you actually want it to go.
So like a signaling molecule.
Yeah,
to the bones. And you would say the most bioavailable form would be, I'm going to botch this, but calatrofol or...
Oh, I don't know.
Colocafol. We're going to put in the show notes, but...
Is that K or D? I don't even know. I haven't heard that.
That's D3. It's
okay.
D3 form is...
it's the name of D3.
It's the name of D3.
Got it. Yeah.
Calatrofol.
I've never heard that. I've just heard it called
D3.
D3.
Person, please tell me how
I thought I was a vitamin person. I've never heard that.
Yeah. Okay, what about your clients? Let's give an overall rundown of your clients. You're in Austin.
Well, let me be clear. I have a small number of training clients. It's mostly marketing clients.
Okay.
I have had training clients and nutrition clients in the past. Quite frankly, marketing clients are way less stressful and I can work on them whenever I want. Yeah. So I like that because it allows for schedule flexibility.
Okay. How about them?
What about them?
What about them? What are these types of companies? What
Mostly
are they
health
marketing?
companies. So
Health
like
companies.
I said, MSW, I ran their marketing for the supplements and for the clinic for close to 6 years. I also started the podcast that they have. Yeah, so, that was very health focused. I don't like to talk about current clients, but I've worked with a lot of like Paleo FX, Kirk Parsley.
Paleo FX.
Yeah, like a bunch of different people like that, either as a ghostwriter or social media manager. So it's pretty much all been in the health space, alternative health space to some extent. I have an author page on well.org, like just as my own contributions, things like that. So a lot of health authorship to various degrees, either as myself or someone else. And then recently I have been helping out with a couple comedy companies as well. There was one that ended up not working out, but I got to run their social media for a while. Like the company just didn't work out. Currently I'm also helping with Big Laugh Comedy, which is the place that they're the company that books Vulcan downtown and, a couple other places. So yeah, it's been good. We're checking on the audio.
We are good. I just want to make sure. Joe, please tell me I recorded this thing properly. Oh,
Sweet. I'm so scared of messing tech stuff up always.
Okay, this is
I'm impressed. You just drag and dropped your podcast into a studio you've never used before.
Yeah. Before we continue, we're going to get into this comedy stuff, but in between my podcasts, just like you do little snippet breaks, I want to do a little snippet break. We're going to do one breathwork exercise.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So this is called, have you ever wanted to fly like a bee?
No.
No? Okay. Well, now's your chance. All right, you ready? Here's what we're going to do. It's going to take 30 seconds. I want you to, we're going to take off our headphones. I want you, we got three fingers, and you got your thumbs, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to put your 3 fingers over your eyes,
Okay.
and you're going to use your thumbs to plug your ears.
Okay.
Okay? So now you're like this. Now what I want you to do is just feel your belly, feel your neck, and do a big vibration. And it's gonna be like this. And this is a vagal nerve activator, a vagus nerve toner as well. So let's just buzz like a bee for about 30 seconds, okay? You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, loud as you can. How are you feeling? Do you feel like a bee yet? It's going down.
Dude,
Right?
that's crazy.
Don't you feel?
You have to like actually plug your ears all the way for it to work, but I was seeing shit.
So that I learned from certified health nut Troy Casey.
For who?
You know, his name is Troy Casey.
I've heard that name, but I'm
Yeah.
not familiar.
So he's the health guy who drinks his own pee.
Oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. And he does like butthole sunning and
So he's the responsible for all of the shitty TikTok trends that are currently happening.
Yeah.
Great.
Perfect. But he was like originator, like doing this way before TikTok was even a thing.
He was the OG crazy. Good.
OG crazy.
Look, that's not shit talking, by the way. I love crazy people.
Yeah.
Even if I disagree with them,
Yeah.
I love crazy people. I'm
Yeah.
in comedy. Like,
Okay, let's get into the comedy. How's the comedy scene now in Austin?
Oh, it's
what
great.
Are you liking? You got 7 shows in 5 days. How does that even work? What was the schedule like?
But I said I was supposed to do 8 too. That's fucking
nuts.
yeah. So the way that works is you get booked a lot.
Yeah.
And then you get added last minute to extra stuff. So I was initially booked on 6 shows in 5 days. And then I got added to 2 extra shows like the day of, like just cause, and I missed one of them because I had the other one to go to, you know, so it was like whatever. But the comedy scene out here is amazing. I started here in, God, it's 2023. I started, I guess, in 2018. Jeez. Yeah. It'll be 5 years this spring, basically. So yeah, 2018. Yeah, it was very different pre-COVID. We had Cap City Comedy Club and the Velveeta Room, so like 1.5 comedy clubs. And we had a good scene. Like people were funny. People were coming out of here and doing well when they moved to New York or LA, you know. A couple people that I knew have ended up on SNL just from the old comedy scene here, you know, so it wasn't like impossible to go and do stuff, but it was a small scene. It was kind of like a build your act up as much as you can here and then move to a real city scene, you know. And then COVID hit and Texas stayed open and comedy still went away. I still didn't go on stage for like 9 months, I think, but yeah, it opened much sooner. And so when Rogan decided to move here, he convinced a bunch of the Comedy Store employees to move here. Like the thing that he doesn't mention on his podcast, when he moved here, he's mentioned it more now. He hired a lot of the people that he liked at the Comedy Store to come manage his new club. So he's just been paying their salaries this whole time. He paid them to come move out here. He's just been paying them to live out here until his club opens.
What's the Comedy Store?
The Comedy Store is like the mothership of most famous comedians that you know in Los Angeles. Like if you listen to Rogan's podcast, you'll hear about it. Like it's one of the most famous comedy clubs in the world. It's like the Comedy Cellar in New York and the Comedy Store in LA. They're not the same company, but those are like 2 of the most prestigious. And yeah, prestigious. Like it's an honor. You're getting paid $15 for a spot there, even if you're Joe Rogan. What am I talking about?
Wow.
But still, it's the place to go where a lot of people end up getting really good. Like if you are a paid regular at one of those places, you've made it to some degree. And yeah, so he brought a bunch of employees from that, and then along with that, he brought some other comics that he really likes to work with, Tony Hinchcliffe, Brian Redband, people like that. And those guys kind of talked a lot of like not yet famous, but very funny comics from LA to move out here too. So a lot of people that had like door guy positions at the Comedy Store also came out here. So Rogan moving here and then convincing other famous people to move here is just like, y'all are seeing the tip of the iceberg. Like so many other people moved here because of that. And so, and a lot of people just moved here because they wanted to when they saw that happening. And now we are on the verge of having 8 comedy clubs in town when Rogan opens next month. And it's insane. Like there's hundreds, if not thousands of more comedians here, comedians being anyone from open micer to a full-time professional. So there's a ton of open mics, there's a ton of clubs, there's a ton of paid show opportunities now. I know plenty of people who are not famous, but they're full-time comedians, and it's really cool. But yeah, so that's kind of how the scene is now. And I would say like that shakeup really it's still kind of in this cool creative bubble where like, yeah, there's certain people who hang out at certain clubs more now. They've been around long enough that we have our favorite spots or like we get booked more at certain places, but there's not really beef still. Like, I don't like to shit talk anyone, but prior to that, there were a lot of like really strict contracts with headlining at clubs around here and stuff. And now you just can't have that. Like, it's not possible. It's like either I sign this contract for this one club and say that I'm only going to perform here when I'm in Austin, or I can go perform at these other 7 clubs, you know? Right. So it's kind of loosened up everyone's competition mindset and turned it more into like a, hey, let's work together thing. Yeah. Like, you know, like, yeah, the owners of the clubs for the most part at least are on like talking terms and like work together rather than like, you know, flip the bird and try and just like outsell each other, which is really nice. It's really fosters like a creative bubble, and it like allows comedians to feel comfortable bouncing between clubs and starting multiple shows and like taking that entrepreneurial route if they want, which there's plenty of us doing, and it's really fun.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Starting off, how was the barrier to entry when you were first
It
getting
was
in the
low.
scene?
It's so low. That's like, that's why so many people do comedy, to be honest. Like, someone meets a comedian, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. But like, if you're in comedy, you're like, there's so many comedians. There are so many. But like, I've said this before, like, I'm glad that I started when and where I did.
Yeah.
Because had I started in Austin post-COVID, it would have been so overwhelming. Like, I feel bad for the people starting in Austin now. Not that it's impossible, not that you shouldn't,
Right.
but I got really lucky that the barrier to entry is still low, right? Like, and I say that because anyone can sign up for an open mic. So it's like coming from the acting world where I had to get permission to do my art. Someone had to give me a chance and cast me in a role for me to like do this. So I'm having to like impress all of these people and jump through these hoops. I can just sign up at an open mic where no one knows me. And even if I get the last spot because no one knows me, all I did was sign up, and that was my barrier to entry. And I'm allowed to get on stage for at least 3 minutes, you know?
Wow.
So like, that's the thing when everyone's like, oh, I've always wanted to try it. I'm like, you can go to 5 open mics tonight. Go try. Like, that's it. That's it. That's the barrier to entry. And if you're good, you start getting better spots on the open mics.
Yeah.
Or if you're bad, have some self-awareness, listen to your recording, fix it. And if you genuinely want to get better, you'll get better spots on the open mics within a couple weeks, and you'll probably start getting booked on local showcase shows within a few months, as long as you're putting that work in.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are not self-aware enough to actually do that. You know, they think they're putting in the work by going up at open mics and grinding, but then they're not listening to their set afterwards. They're not trying to fix the jokes. They're not being realistic with themselves about like, okay, this actually didn't do well. Like, how do I fix it? You know? But if you come at it from that angle, you can start getting booked fairly soon, as long as you improve your craft.
I see. So there's almost like a strategy to it. You're going to have a pre-show check-in with yourself, post-show analyzation of what's going on. How'd you play? How'd you perform?
Yeah. I mean, now it's like, you know, I have jokes that I know are going to work.
Yeah.
If I'm working on a new joke, I'm way more like analytical, I would say, or like I have like all of my set lists in my phone. Like I've got like keywords that remind me of certain jokes. And if I have a new joke that I want to work on, I spend extra time before my set, like running through, okay, I wanted to add that tag here. What if I tried it in this, you know, like doing whatever and like trying to review in my head before I go up. And that's not to say that I'm like reciting a script either. People hear that comics aren't just writing on the spot and they think it's like, oh, you're not. No, stand-up is written before that we go up.
Yeah,
the art is making it look like we're saying it for the first time, right? So, but yeah, so there's still plenty of room for spontaneity and crowd work and things like that if it's called for. But I'm not one of those comics that's going to try and like poke the audience.
Yeah.
You know, I like to keep control as much as possible of the situation. But yeah, so pre-show review. Let it go, do your thing, address it if it sucks. Like the show I did last night, I would argue I probably had the worst set on the show.
Yeah.
And it still was a good set, but it started off like the audience was not like they didn't like me. For whatever reason, they just didn't like me. And it was funny because I had people in the audience, I didn't know, people who had gone to my show 2 nights ago and saw me kill with essentially the same set because I was working the same set this week.
Right.
And then last night, the first half was just so slow and the audience was just not fucking with me. And like, and those people came up to me and they were like, we think you're funny. We liked your set both nights. Why was the audience weird tonight? And I was like, it'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that. But like, you know, at one point I just was like, you guys know this is like a joke. Because I came out swinging pretty hard. I was like being pretty dark up top. So sometimes they don't like that. So I was like, you know, none of this is true, right? Like I'm just messing with you guys. And then that kind of cracked them open a little bit. But, and then I closed strong. So that's also like the victory in that is like, I won them over. They weren't liking me at first and then something got them and I closed strong. So that also feels really good.
Yeah. Same for DJing.
Yeah.
DJ sometimes
yeah.
dead crowd, you know?
Yeah.
And then being able to bring them back alive. Or if you're playing before someone that's a massive.
Right.
And you're like, oh, sometimes the duty of an opener, same probably for comedy, is that you got to get into it, get the crowd going, but you can't go too hard or too, you're not the headliner, right?
You're not the headliner, but what's funny about comedy is yes and no. It's almost always like the crowd just doesn't like you as much because they know you're not the headliner. Like they're just not going to pay attention because they know like they're there for the headliner. But what's interesting is there's a lot of headliners that they will book openers or features that they think are funnier than them because they'll kill so hard that it makes the headliner work harder. Because like there's this weird thing, especially in comedy, where like you get to a certain level and it's like people are going to laugh no matter what, right? Because they like you.
Yeah.
You know, and that sucks for a comedian too, because it's like, I don't know if I'm actually being funny anymore or you guys just like me and that's why you're laughing. And for us, it's like, no, it's great that you're laughing, but was it actually funny? Like it's like, we really want to actually be funny. And so if you book a feature or an opener that's like, you think is like going to destroy and just totally have an awesome set, it makes you as the headliner work harder because they just saw someone that they don't know and that person was able to win over this audience and kill. And now I'm the famous headliner that you're all here to see. I have to work hard now because you just saw someone who genuinely killed, you know? So I know comedians will do that sometimes too. Like they intentionally choose a feature or headliner that they think is funny, like too funny to be opening or whatever.
Okay.
Which is, I think, cool. Like, and also probably shows the masochism inside of all of us. But yeah, it's good.
How'd you blow up in India? Run me. You were in India for how long did you say?
I was in India for August 2022, so all of August.
And we're gonna post videos that edit it, but I was watching some
you're
of them
welcome to
today,
use
and
them.
I was like, these are quality. People looking at you like you're an alien.
Yeah.
Run me through India. How was that? Was there comedy? Were you doing shows?
No. So my best friend, her name's Anupi. She's also a DJ. She's Indian and we grew up together. Like we've been best friends since we were 8. We still live together and she's been wanting me to go to India with her for forever and the timing ends up being pretty funny. Like I broke up with my fiance last spring and right around that time she was coordinating with her family going to India over the summer and her cousin basically like bullied the family group chat into being like, Allison's coming to India too. And so they
Peer
just
pressure.
Yeah, so they ended up being like, yeah, Allison, you have to come. And so I was like, okay, I guess I have to come. So I just was like in such a weird place. Like so many things were changing in my life. And I was like, this seems like a good time to just hit pause on everything in Austin and literally go live on the other side of the world in a different reality for a month. Because so many things that are normal there are not normal here and vice versa. Like that's the biggest takeaway I had was like nothing is normal. Right. It's so just societally conditioned. Like, yeah. But so anyway, I spent a month in India and it was basically just us living in India. Like I still had my marketing clients. I took a break from comedy, but I still had my marketing clients. So I'd work a little bit. We bopped around, did the tourist thing. Also just lived like we were in India. I mean, we were staying with her aunt and uncle. So it was like we had the maids, we went to the grocery store, whatever, like all the things. And I've made like videos kind of like that before. Like because I speak pretty good Spanish, but no one expects that. So like when I went to Mexico, I filmed all the series of like dumb influencer in Mexico and like whatever. And so the idea came from that. But the video that went super viral was like things I've said too much in India, I think. And it was just me being a dumb white person in India. Yeah. Like, and the ongoing joke was like me trying to order a black coffee anywhere was like impossible. Everyone thought I was a psycho. The closest thing I could get was instant coffee. And half the time it was like, they would still add sugar to it because it's still black, you know? So like, whatever. So but that video went super viral. And then the whole time we were in India, I was the only white person I saw in the town that we were staying at.
Wow.
But even Anupi gets stared at. They can tell you're not from there. Just there's something about it. They can tell that you're not from there. And so when we were walking around together, we were just those stares. That's how everyone looked at us. Like, and I didn't even catch the most aggressive ones on camera. Like I would be so mad because there would be a dude like almost falling off of his bike staring at us sometimes. And I'm like, dang it, why wasn't I filming? You know? Yeah. So yeah, I filmed. I've posted 2 of those of just us walking through the city and like how people would just break their necks to stare at us. Because the manners are just different there. It wasn't like a rude thing. It was just curiosity, you know, like there's so many people, like everyone's just curious. You're all up in each other's business. It was a small town for India and there were 8 million people there. Yeah.
That's a small town.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
like to put it into perspective, like I think Dili is like 40 million or something. And like when I was telling people I was going to Ahmedabad, they were like, ew, why? It's like a small town. No one goes there. And I was like looking at the map and I'm like, this is so much bigger than maybe even like the Dallas area, like geographically and definitely population wise. So it's really interesting how they look at it over there. But yeah, so I just was like, I'm going to just post these, and they just, for whatever reason, went super viral. And like, yeah, now I just have a shit ton of followers in India, but it's cool. Maybe I'll get to do comedy when I go over there when I'm back. Cause like I'll eventually go back with her for sure. And I know one person that can book me in Delhi already that I met doing comedy in Barcelona.
Wow.
But yeah.
And there will be plenty of people breaking their necks during that show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's wrap this up. What are we planning in 2023? What are we looking forward to? Maybe we go back to India training wise. Let's do a couple things of each.
Yeah. Well, I'm really enjoying like finally putting more of my marketing efforts into my comedy for myself. I've always said like I wanted to learn marketing so I can eventually implement it for myself. And I just never felt like I had a product to offer, at least in like the health space. I felt like I didn't have something unique enough to offer, and I probably do, but I haven't put my energy to that. So I was like, I'll just market other people that have a clear vision for now. So I'm really excited that like now I know, hey, I really actually like doing sketches. Hey, I'm actually like, I have the creative flow now to be writing new bits so I can post more stand-up videos. So things like that. I'm really looking forward to a lot of like collaboration with friends. There's a lot of, I would say like there's a lot of comics here who actually get the business side of it now. Whereas before it was kind of like you were kind of shit talked if you were posting on social media, like in the Austin scene pre-COVID. And now it's like, no, like LA gets it, right? As much as people can talk shit about the Hollywood industry, like they get it though. That's how you grow an audience. And you want to grow an audience to have a fan base to sell shows. Like it sounds conceited, but that's what the business is. Like you're building a fan base to sell your product, which is tickets to your show. So like as much as that seems silly, that's what's happening. So I'm very excited about actually having some friends that want to shoot sketches together now. Like I have multiple friends that I've been shooting with, I'm planning shoots with. It's not just me. And I have a couple shows that I'm co-hosting and one that I'm producing, which have been really fun endeavors with that too. Like I like to try and combine all of the things. So like the show that I produce and co-host is called Litty Titty Tuesday, and it's at the Creek in the Cave Comedy Club in downtown Austin twice a month. But I book a guest co-host every single time, and I book a guest co-host like based on, are they my friend? You know, do I like bantering and working with them, whatever. But leading up to that, I also will shoot like a sketch or do like a funny video or funny photo with them to like promote that they're going to be my guest co-host for the show. And those end up getting their own attention because it's like celebrating whatever the thing is with the co-host. And like it just like, yeah, it just causes a lot of creativity. So I'm really excited that I have a couple shows that I co-host, one that I produce. I'm getting booked a ton. Lots of just creative flow. And this is the first time I haven't had travel on the calendar. Like yeah. I travel a ton and I don't have any travel booked right now. So I'm excited to see where that could go. And I have a couple other like really cool opportunities in the works that I can't quite talk about publicly yet, but like hopefully those go through. And I'm just excited that there's so many possibilities in town. Yeah.
I want to get into some, I want to get bits of the health, back into health.
Yeah.
Let's look at everything you've done. What do you have any tips for maybe comedians or someone that works nightlife? How can they maintain a healthy balance between working and traveling and all this stuff and staying fit mentally, spiritually?
Yeah.
What's your go-tos?
The thing that I tell everyone, and I don't hear it talked about like ever, this is my perspective, is everyone needs to handle their toxic load better. And what I mean by that is all encompassing. So like you can call it stress load or toxic load, however you want to think about it. But we have environmental, physical, mental, emotional, societal, spiritual.
Preach.
Stressors and toxins. Okay, so if you are eating clean, you're sleeping enough, you're doing all of the physical stuff correct, but your finances are in shambles, your relationship sucks, you feel like you don't have any friends, you're probably going to be gaining weight and having all of these health effects that you don't even understand. And it sounds crazy, but it does manifest physically. So like I said it, I like to smoke weed, right? Like I know that I like to smoke weed and I'll do that most nights. Like it's just what happens, especially if I'm out with my friends. That being said, I sleep it off. I supplement to make sure that things are good. The breath work, I really feel like helps clear the lungs in the morning. And I also make sure to like keep healthy relationships. Like I broke off an engagement last year. That was a huge lesson for me. Like I was losing so much weight leading up to that, not realizing that like the anxiety was causing me to lose the weight. Like I was so skinny that my parents thought I was orthorexic again. And as soon as that whole thing passed, I could eat again. I wanted to exercise again.
Wow.
I could sleep again. You know, so it's like, if there's something that you just feel this like nagging, like, oh my God, I just can't get this. What is it?
Right.
Don't just look at the food and exercise. Like, cause that's what everyone wants to go to. They're like, oh, if I take this supplement instead, or whatever. It's like, you have to look at all of it. Like, are you right with God? Whatever that is to you. Are you right with God? Are you right with your friends and family? Are you right with yourself? Is your living environment healthy? Not just the physical toxins in the air. Austin's very moldy. So are you living in a house with mold?
Mycotoxins.
Yeah, not just that, but also does your roommate suck? You know, like it's all of it manifests physically eventually. And so if you're having trouble with your health, look at your toxic load. And it's like, if you have all of these things in order, like I'm very happy that right now I would say like my physical health is in pretty good order. Like I have a really solid exercise, sleep, eating, hydration routine, supplementation. I love who I live with. I feel very calm in my house. I'm obsessed with my work, so I'm very satisfied there. So it's like, okay, I have these 3 things checked off. Can I risk it a little bit by smoking some weed? That's a physical toxin. Yeah. But, you know, if I'm like not getting my period due to stress for whatever reason, it's like, maybe you should back off from the weed for a little bit until you figure out what the thing is, you know? So
I love that.
Toxic load is always just what I try to point people to.
That is so undermined and misunderstood.
I never hear anyone talking about it. Like, again, coming from macros lady who was like, I don't care what toxins are in my food as long as it fits my macros. Like
Right.
total 180.
Bro.
Yeah, bro. Hey, look, I'll still fuck with some macros, okay? Let's bulk.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like it's much more all encompassing than anyone wants to realize, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the sauna protocol.
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
The sauna,
Right.
I will say I was bragging about my sauna session to everyone last night. Like I literally don't know what happened last night, but that meditation was one of the best meditations I've ever had.
Wow.
And I left and I was so present the rest of the night. Like I was driving in my car and I realized that I hadn't turned my music on halfway through.
Yeah.
Just because I was like
Zen.
vibing to my own like whatever, just you know, and that's
Beautiful.
like that's a really cool thing. Saunas, I mean, we can go on a whole tangent about why the sauna is good for all the different levels
Right.
of stuff, but yeah.
I would say that's one of the easiest ways to detox, wouldn't you say? Or just avoid the toxic foods and cosmetics in general.
Yeah.
But if you're lazy, like hop in the sauna, get your phone out if you're truly like, you
Yeah,
know,
if
get your
it's-
phone, just sweat it out.
Yeah, it's sauna is definitely one of those low barrier to entry things. Like I like thinking of what's someone's gateway drug into health.
Yeah.
Usually it's one of the lower hanging fruits, right? Starting a supplementation routine, trying to drink more water, trying to exercise a few times a week. Sauna, I think, is probably one of the best gateway drugs for overall health. Because once you start feeling a little bit better, that's what causes everyone to become a health nut. It's like there's always one little like gateway or barrier to entry or whatever. And as soon as that's broken down, it's like, oh, I'm exercising great, but what if I also like had a protein shake instead of a Big Mac after my workout, what would
Right.
that feel like? And then like it just spirals, you know, the better
Next
you
thing
feel,
you
the
know.
better you feel. The next thing you know, you're sunning your asshole and
Yeah.
drinking your own piss, and you're
Suppositories.
famous on TikTok, you know?
Methylene blue up the butt. You ever try that, by the way?
I haven't tried just methylene blue. There's like that company, I forget what the...
Mitozen, maybe?
No, there's a company, I can't remember what it's called, but they made like these blue tabs, and it has methylene blue in it, but it's like got... Transcriptions, yeah. It's got nicotine and like caffeine and some other stuff in it too.
Yeah.
So I've tried those, but that felt like crack
So
in a good way.
Dr. Ted Achacoso makes those. But what I'm starting to learn is that methylene blue sublingually is nowhere near as effective when either ingested orally or suppository.
Wait, sublingual is less effective than ingesting it?
Right? Just for methylene blue, I heard.
Interesting.
Because the gastric enzymes somehow react with the methylene blue
Yeah.
just a bit better.
Yeah.
But if this were a B12 sublingual or something,
Right.
I would think it's more effective.
Yeah.
So I just started trying it. And you know what? The Lumitol Blue from Mitozen, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I literally had someone else recommend that to me the other day. So multiple recs means I need to try it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then get into the red light. It's
I love red light.
Incredibly photoactive.
It's crazy. I was just, okay, I didn't know that this was so underknown.
What's up?
People, my sister-in-law is really into health and fitness too, and she didn't know this. The red light therapy, like people don't realize like it's the light that is the benefit. Like people think, oh, it's the sauna, and then they just put red lights in there for like vibes.
Pretty vibes.
You know, but I'm like, no, red light, like infrared light helps your skin health and your detox, and your near infrared light penetrates the organs and helps with vasodilation.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is like they have one of those light panels in MSW, and Erin, the woman who runs ops there, it's like really hard to get her for an IV.
Right.
She just sits in front of the near infrared light for a few minutes and they get her no problem. Like the results are instantaneous, and that's just the light, no sauna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love the light stuff too, for sure.
Tons of mitochondrial health,
Mm-hmm.
tons of nitric oxide, vasodilation. They gave it to us for free if you want to do it after, by the way.
Oh, like in the big one?
In the big one.
Oh, I'm definitely taking
Right.
that. I haven't been in the new one yet.
Yeah.
That's great.
I also just finessed the code. But anyways. I was like, hey, bro, what's the code?
You're like the watch guy. You're like, you need a code for Squatch,
Yeah.
opening your jacket.
Squatch, bro. It was so funny. I was here at 11:30 at night and people were training.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been here that late.
Like hard, dude. It was going hard.
Dude, I kind of want to do a midnight workout here now that you say that. That
Yeah.
sounds fun.
Caffeine with the workout.
Maybe. We'll see.
Go to concourse after.
Yeah, right. I would do that, actually.
Literally. What's your favorite time to work out?
Usually midday
Yeah.
or early evening. I was here a little later than normal last night. I think I got here around 5:45 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
But that was also because I could, right?
Yeah.
Like I actually do like that like 6 o'clock time window to work out. I'm definitely a terrible morning workout. Like we didn't go into it too much, but like I have PCOS. I had a ton of adrenal issues, like which also was part of the whole figuring out. Like after the eating disorders, now all of my hormones are fucked, right?
Yeah.
Because eating disorders will do that. And so for me, it's like I have tried working out at every time of the day, and I can literally like feel my adrenals getting shot if I try to wake up and go too hard first thing in the morning. So
Right.
like, and that's the same with cold plunging too. Like people think I'm crazy for being like, don't cold plunge all the time. I never want to cold plunge after a workout, which Huberman is now saying is bad, which I figured because my body cringes every time I hear that, but no one wanted to listen to me.
Post-inflammation response.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's like, you know, again, coming back to stress and toxic load, cold exposure is so stressful on the body and it's very beneficial, and I will do it. But I'm very careful about when, time of the month wise, time of the day wise, around exercise wise. Yeah, I don't really know why I went on that rant, but
No, that's so important.
it's like, oh yeah, you asked time of the day for workout. So it's like for me, if I wake up and I try to go hard at first thing in the morning, I can just feel it. And it sounds silly, but I literally describe it as like I feel myself like getting the excess estrogen buildup in the backs of my arms.
'Cause
As
that's
specific
stress
as that
load.
sounds, that's what it
Right.
feels like. So yeah, it's like midday to early evening, I would say, just depending on what my day looks like.
The women's hormonal health. I just watched a podcast. Max Lugavere and Dr. Molly
He's
Malouf.
so good.
Dr.
Oh,
Molly
they're
Malouf,
both so good.
She was talking about how your cycles, a woman's cycle, affects when you want to work out, how you should be working out during that time. You know, my girlfriend's like, she's going through her cycle, and she's like, you know what, I really don't feel like working out, but I'm going to push through it. And I'm like, listen, your body is telling you, maybe this is probably you're better at saying this, but maybe it's not the best time to work out.
Yeah.
How would you say?
See,
that
sucks
stuff
for you as a dude because it's so easy for a woman to be like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
So I've been having this conversation a lot too. Like, it's 2 years ago, if you had asked me this, I would have been like, women are pussies, push through it, like whatever, you know, like get over it. And I hope I'm allowed to cuss on here. I've been doing that a bunch, but it's not him cussing. It's the dirty comedian. Yeah. So now it's like, now that I understand, I mean, like, I didn't have my period for 2 years because of PCOS. Okay. Wow. So like, and I had to do all of this shit to get it back, which basically made me, as much as I was a workhorse, push through it, never give up, no days off, I had to come to terms with that. Like, my doctor literally banned me from working out for a month because my cortisol was so shot.
Yeah.
And so, and then after that month, I still wasn't allowed. Like, it was like, okay, you can like lift weights once a week now. You know, like it was very
the inner
like,
bro is like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And, yeah. So I would say, like, a lot of people don't realize this. Men operate on a 24-hour circadian rhythm. Women operate on a month-long menstrual cycle is the best way for me to describe it. So that's why it's so hard for men to understand, like, well, why can't you just wake up and push through at the same time every single day and do your workout at X time? Like, because for you guys, it genuinely does reset. Like, your hormones reset every 24 hours along with the sun. Women follow the moon, more or less, right? 28-ish days. And that being said, I try to describe it as like, okay, think about, as a dude, your typical day. When do you want to work out during your typical day? Do you want to work out first thing in the morning? Some dudes like to, but that's probably not your ideal. Your testosterone peaks around noon, right? That's when your energy is highest. For women, our energy peaks with ovulation, mid-cycle, day 15 of our cycle. So for me, if I'm on my period, and this goes with even with like Ayurvedic medicine, and I'm by no means an expert on this type of training, but this is personal experience. Like, if I'm on my period, the first 2 days, I don't want to do anything except sleep. And that's it. I don't even want to eat. I'm not hungry. I don't want to do anything but sleep and recover and rest. Towards the end of it, it's like, okay, I'm getting my energy back. I can eat again. As soon as that ends, those like 7 days from like end of period to ovulation, I am pumped. Let's go. Let's go. You know, like, let's get it. Like, let's PR. I don't need to sleep. I will eat everything. I will work out 4 times a day. I will get all my work done. Let's go. And then you ovulate.
That's what's up.
And you're still pretty good energy, you know, like, you're still pretty good energy the next 7 days after that. And then PMS hits. You want to eat everything. You want to kill yourself. And then, like, I also have PCOS, so like It's a little bit more extreme, but like my roommate and I joke about it all the time. Like, her boyfriend was over the other day and we were both being sad and he was like, "What's wrong with you guys?" And we were like, "You ever just think you ain't shit for 3 days and then you start bleeding?" And he was like, "Oh, you know, like it sucks." But like, yeah, so it's like those days leading up to that, it's like, okay, I can still train, but like I'm going to wean it off. So that way when it starts, I'm ready to just recover. Yeah. So like, And I mean, I have to track and do all those things too, but it's crazy because it's the same thing that like I see men go through on a daily basis, like, which is, you know, for better or for worse, that's how it feels. So yeah, that's that. But definitely, like, people like Molly Malouf, I feel like she's a pretty big expert in that at this point. There's several female scientists who are out there really trying to study it because there just hasn't been a lot of studies on women's health.
In general, right?
Yeah, in general, but also just especially around the cycle because it's been such a taboo topic. But in reality, it's like, no, if we understood our cycles a little bit better, I think unplanned pregnancies would be way decreased. I think mental health would be a lot better because now I can prepare, like, okay, I'm going to be PMSing next week. I'm going to be extra sensitive. If I start randomly crying, I just know it's because of this hormone dip. And I let myself cry and I let myself feel bad about that thing. And then I just know that's part of it. And treating it like no, this is actually good because it makes me like introspect once a month is a way better version than being like, why am I going crazy? Oh no, now I need like not paying attention to it is like so much more frantic. And I think that's why a lot of women just probably feel like they're crazy most of the time. And it's just like every other aspect of health. The more you pay attention to your own body and like how the inputs and outputs affect it, the better off you'll be. And we just haven't really put any emphasis on women's cycles because they want to treat it like it's just, oh yeah, everyone gets it, so it's fine. But no, you should be paying attention to it for yourself for many reasons beyond just tracking it for birth control reasons or whatever. Like it affects every aspect of your health.
It's beautifully said. Is there certain do you sometimes prioritize, let's go back to supplements, do you prioritize some supplements during that time? Do you like eating more? You were saying more rest.
Yeah, I mean, I tell every woman to kind of see what works best for her because like my roommate and I are kind of opposites in that way. Like I want to eat a ton of stuff leading up to it and then it starts and then I don't want any food for 2 days. Whereas for her, it's the opposite. She's not hungry and then she starts and she's like, I haven't been eating. Give me all the food, right? So just pay attention to what it is for you, I would say. And then there are certain supplements. So like, you know, do your research on these. I have PCOS. So like for me, I have used black cohosh, which is kind of a generally advised like female hormone balancing one. That and St. John's wort. Those two together are supposed to, because I get hot flashes and things like that too. So if you're menopausal or you have PCOS and you get hot flashes, like those two are supposed to really help with that. There's also what's it called? Chaste tree extract, which also goes by another name that's eluding me right now. But chaste tree extract, when I was really trying to go through like regulating my cycle and balancing the cortisol and stuff, I would take that like the week that I was PMSing and it decreased the PMS symptoms. Vitex is the other name of it. Chaste tree extract or Vitex. And that one, I believe, helps people whether you have anything or not. But yeah, my doctor specifically recommended that one to like reduce PCOS or PMS symptoms. So like take it the week before your period, which again, got to be tracking to know when that is. Yeah. So my number one recommendation for any woman is just track your cycle and use a paper calendar because the laws suck. But
paper calendar, okay.
Use a paper calendar because
no
then
tech or.
I used to use the Clue app, but we live in Texas now, and I don't trust any of my medical data going anywhere. But I also kind of like that I was forced to start using a paper calendar. Forced. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Forced to use a paper calendar because now I'm even more aware of what the signs are leading up to it. Like I would track a ton of stuff in my Clue thing before, and I was pretty aware. But now that I have to write it down, like I don't even need to look at the app or the calendar. It's in here. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And podcast number 2, we'll go through the conspiracies.
I'm down.
You got some good ones. Okay. Do you have anything more you want to talk about?
Not unless you do.
No, I mean, this has been absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Covered comedian life, how to get into the comedy scene, how to optimize routines, you know?
Yeah.
Hormonal health for women and men.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the workout today? What are we thinking?
Well, yesterday I went pretty hard doing legs, so I'll probably hit some upper body today.
Nice.
Definitely do my mobility routine that you also saw yesterday. Yeah, I mentioned that I dance as well, so like I'll do a lot of like dance stretches and
Hales, rails, any articular rotations or
no. I mean, like if I'm just over at Squatch, like I'll just do like a couple like warm-ups that I've learned in dance and stuff like that, maybe tondus or whatever, which is like more ballet. It's
we might do some mobility and get a quick video for the podcast.
I'd be down. But yeah, sometimes I'll be annoying at Squatch and you'll see me like practicing my leaps on the turf, things like that. I love powerful stuff like that. You just, once you can get high and far on a leap, you just feel like you're flying. So it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah, I
Thank
really
you,
appreciate you
Allison.
asking me to do this.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you who are like listening, like we literally did just meet yesterday, and this is how Austin works. It's like, oh, met in the sauna. Let's do a podcast.
Literally, everyone happens to be a podcaster here. So
Yeah.
talk about barrier to entry. Well, thank you.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
We'll be posting this very soon. So peace out, y'all.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to this Cool Health podcast. Our goal is to make health cool for everyone, so thank you for your contribution to this cause. If you received any benefits out of this podcast, please consider supporting us by hitting like, sharing it with others, and subscribing to our channel. Thanks once again, and see you guys next time. Now go make impact in this world.